I know it's a bit late for me to be making this video, however, I just don't care. There are just so many exciting anticipated releases. Now, May is going to be a massive month for me, and essentially my notes for this reaction are because I'm really excited for this book. Hey besties, it's Joel, and today I'm going to be going through my 23 anticipated releases for 2023, and I'm really excited about it because I've already recorded this video once before. However, there were some technical difficulties that I won't be getting into. However, the benefit of that is, one, I have a haircut now, so I look extra fresh for this video, and also two, some things have happened with some of these books that I'm really excited to delve deeper about. I hope you're all doing very well and that you're looking after yourselves. If you've yet to get the beverage of your choice, please do so, as we must remain well and hydrated and taken care of. For me, I have a nice mug of chai today because I'm feeling the need to relax and just get into this. Plus, I just want to feel like I'm having a cozy FaceTime with a friend, so let's get into it. If you've yet to check out my Instagram, nor my Twitter, nor my TikTok, which I'm now posting on as well, I would highly recommend you go and do that because I post some extra bookish content that you're not gonna see here. Like, TikTok has been so much fun for me, and especially like refreshing as well, because I have been feeling a little bit burnt out with YouTube in recent months, but it has really given me the time to reflect about like what types of content I want to make going forward. And I definitely think focusing on like the cozy vibes of things, I definitely am really excited for the types of content that I'm going to be posting going forward. I hope you are too. An example of that is the cozy reading vlog I literally just posted like a few weeks ago, so I would highly recommend going checking that out as well, because a lot of people have been saying they really liked like the cozy vibes and stuff. But without further ado, let us get into the 23 reads that I'm anticipating for 2023. Now, I'm not really going to be focusing on January and February as much because those months are done and gone. However, there are 3 reads that I do want to specifically mention, so we'll get into those and then we'll get into the rest of the year. So the very first read that I'm anticipating is The Keeper's Six by Kate Elliott, and this releases on January 17th, 2023, which essentially follows a world-hopping, spell-slinging mother on a rescue mission for her son who's been kidnapped by a dragon lord with everything to lose. Now, Kate Elliott was an author that my older sister was more so obsessed with when I was younger, and I remember going into a room and looking through her books and finding like a copy of The Crown of Stars, and I was just mesmerized by the kind of old fantasy style of covers that I'm still quite obsessed with today. But seeing that this release had a name that I recognized attached to it, I was immediately like, I want to read this. And then I shared it with my older sister, and I think she's also interested in reading it, so I think I'm gonna read it and then tell her what I think about it. I just think this story is so interesting, and thinking about like kind of themes of motherhood that I've been reading in fantasy over the last year, it's something that I think I'm going to continue on with, and I think it's so interesting to see that be represented on the page. I'm very intrigued by this novella, and I think it's going to be very exciting, so I'm going to be picking that up very soon. The next book that I'm then anticipating is one that I'm actually going to be starting tomorrow, and that is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, which releases on February 28th, 2023. Now, I went to the Samantha Shannon event that she did in London 2 days ago, and we got these like A Day of Fallen Night biscuit, like cookie things. The way that the cover is just printed on the fondant is just so clever, and I'm going to be eating that whilst I record like my 24-hour reading vlog of reading this book. I don't know whether I'll be posting it to YouTube because I originally wanted to do it just for TikTok. However, I feel like probably making a longer one for YouTube would be pretty awesome as well. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section. So essentially, A Day of Fallen Night is a prequel to The Priory of the Orange Tree, also by Samantha Shannon, which is like right up here. And it takes place roughly like 5 centuries before the events of Priory. It follows an entirely new cast of characters. Tanuva Milim, a sister of the Priory, Glorian, the daughter of Sabran the Ambitious, who is the queen of the Kingdom of Innis, and also the king in the Kingdom of Hroth. And essentially Glorian trails in their shadow, which is exactly where she wants to be. And then we also have Dumai, who has spent her entire life trying to wake the gods by singing to them. And this story basically details a devastating course of events surrounding the eruption of the Dreadmount. And the events in this book has shaped the world for centuries to come. And so I've decided not to reread Priory and instead just go straight into this. I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be so good and so awesome, and I just can't wait to see what the story details. The next book I'm then anticipating is She is a Haunting by Tran Ton Tran, and this also releases on February 28th, 2023. And this one is basically about a house with a terrifying appetite haunting a broken family, following a girl who's given a horrifying warning by the ghost of a beautiful bride. Don't eat. And so she must unearth her own truths in order to root out the house's rot. They said on the synopsis that this was perfect for fans of Mexican Gothic by Silva Moreno Garcia, and so I'm fully on board with this story. And plus, since some of my friends have already read it and rave about this book, I'm even more excited. And also, because we also follow a bisexual main character, this book feels like a good like horror for me. I'm really interested. Plus, there's some kind of like bug imagery on the cover as well. I'm not the most massive fan of bugs, so we shall see. see. But overall, I'm really excited for it. The next book I'm then really anticipating is Lies We Sing to the Sea by Sarah Underwood, and this releases on March 7th, 2023 for the US and March 16th, 2023 for the UK. And now this is a special arc of Lies We Sing to the Sea, and it's special to me personally because it has my name on the sprayed edges. Joel, Joel. This is probably one of the most amazing proofs that I've ever got. I really like it because one, it just makes it feel even more special, and two, if someone tries to sell the arc, then you know exactly who sold it. Lies We Sing to the Sea is such an amazing book. It's literally been a year since I've read this book because I read it when it was still in manuscript form. This is inspired by the Odyssey, more specifically the tale of Penelope's 12 hanged maids. And this essentially follows Leto, an oracle who's sacrificed due to the curse of Poseidon, and under Melantho, a figure that she meets on a mysterious island, they plot to break the curse by killing the Prince of Ithaca. This story is so heartbreakingly tragic, and I loved every moment of it. But also, I'm Welsh. I think this is very important to mention because now I can never look at daffodils the exact same way again because it's St. David's Day literally next week. It's emotionally devastating. I cried, but you should also read it. The next book I'm then really highly anticipating is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Q. Sutanto, and this one releases on March 14th, 2023. And this basically follows Vera, a lonely shopkeeper who, upon finding a dead body in the middle of her tea shop, basically decides to take matters into her own hands and solve the murder in a very interesting way. And so essentially, she takes something from the body and is like, the murderer's gonna come back for this, but doesn't think to realize that she might become friends with the murderer. And, it's gonna be hard to turn them in once they're someone you care about. It's this kind of cozy Murder, She Wrote vibes of this story that make me really invested in it because I feel like Vera Wong could definitely be an Angela Lansbury, and I love that. I really love cozy mysteries. Cozy books in general are ones that I'm really gonna be looking into this year because I want to do a cozy reading vlog or fantasy books next month because I want to read Tress of the Emerald Sea, You Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. I feel like it's gonna be a great video, but I'm just really excited about this cozy kind of mystery because I feel like Vera Wong is gonna have such a hard time once she gets to know all of these patrons and care for them and their own problems. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be so hard, but I'm really excited for it regardless. The next book I'm then anticipating is Flux by Jingwoo Chang, which releases on March 21st, 2023. Now, I was interested in this one because it combines elements of neo-noir, speculative fiction, and also 80s detective shows in a story about a young man who basically starts to believe his company that he works for has inadvertently discovered time travel and is using it to cover up a series of crimes. The reality unraveling for him really reminds me of The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson because it's kind of a capitalist kind of company taking advantage of a scientific discovery and using it for their own gain. And so I was I feel I'm gonna be really into this and seeing the elements that the story is gonna bring together. I feel it's gonna be really interesting because it explores the cyclical nature of grief, moving past trauma, and also the pervasive nature of whiteness within the development of the Asian identity in America. And so I feel if Jingwoo Chan is able to handle all of that in a really neat way, I feel it's gonna be such an excellent story. And so I'm really looking forward to it. The next book I'm then really looking forward to is YN by SDE, and this one releases on March 21st, 2023. And basically this is parasocial relationships to a T because this follows a Korean American woman's obsession with a K-pop idol that takes her from her home in Berlin all the way to Seoul on a journey of self-literary destruction through writing YN fanfic. YN fanfic, your name fanfic. This is something that I'm really interested in. This reminds me of a book that I'm gonna quickly grab because it's literally right next to me. It's also on the bottom of the pile though. This really reminds me of Idol Burning by Runasami, which is another book about a parasocial relationship between a girl and her idol. And so I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how this book takes the concept of the parasocial relationship between an idol and a person, how it manifests going forward, because it's definitely something I'm interested in reading a lot, especially with how K-pop idols have become more of a worldwide sensation now, and it's definitely changed from when I started listening to K-pop back in 2013. So wow, it's been 10 years. I'm really interested to see how it's presented in a literary form, and I think the YN fanfic idea is so interesting, and so I'm really excited for it. So the next book that I'm really looking forward to reading is Blood Debts by Terry J. Benton Walker, and this one releases on April 4th, 2023. Now, I really just want to quickly go into the fact that this is a YA fantasy with a black boy on the cover, and upon seeing this, I literally started crying because growing up, there wasn't really any YA fantasy books with black boys on the cover, and just seeing that now just makes me so happy. Finally, we get this for ourselves. There's no doubt gonna be someone be oh, I don't understand what the importance of it is. I don't care if you don't understand. This is for me. And so it's just really important to me. But Blood Debts has powerful magical families, intergenerational curses, and deadly drama in a book about twin heirs to a magical dethroned family who are basically trying to solve a decades-old murder in the hope of removing the curse from their sick mother. And so I'm really excited to read this book because, one, it's a YA fantasy and I really want to read more YA fantasy this year. Two, Terry J. Benton Walker has been someone that I've been following for numerous years now and have grown to love as a person. And so I'm really excited to read this. And also to Terry and Doody, who are probably watching this video right now, I hope you're both doing very well. But yeah, I'm just really excited to read this book and just give this book all of my love and all of my attention. And I cannot wait to read it. And so now we can get on to the next book that I'm anticipating, and that is Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee, which releases on April 11th, 2023. I loved the Greenbone saga so much. I've read Jade City, I've read Jade War, I haven't read Jade Legacy, but I will be getting to that ASAP. And so I think that Fonda Lee is just such like an auto-buy author for me because I love those books so much. And so I'm really excited for this novella because it's an epic fantasy fable about the pursuit of obsession at all costs. And it basically follows Esther, who after her family are killed by a manticore, finds purpose to devoting herself to a service that demands absolute sacrifice, and a rock called Zara, who will never love her back. However, this partnership leads Esther on the Empire's most dangerous manticore hunt and on a journey of perseverance and acceptance. I'm really excited to see how this story will turn out, and anything Fonda Lee writes, I will buy because I just love her writing so much. And I just think it's really clever the way that she is able to build worlds and build characters and make you really feel for them. So I have no doubt a novella of hers will do that in the exact same way. The next book I'm then highly anticipating its release of for 2023 is Happy Place by Emily Henry, which releases on April 25th, 2023. And this basically follows a couple who broke up months ago who make a pact to pretend to still be together for their annual week-long getaway with their best friends. And this just sounds like it's going to be not only like a super cute book, but also very messy as well. And I love the way that Emily Henry writes these elements of literary fiction along with elements of romance put together, boom. And yeah, I just love Emily Henry's writing because I read Beach Read and I loved it. And so I think Happy Place is just going to be such like an amazing read for me. And I think I'm probably going to try and read this at like the start of April or the end of March, depending on where my reading goes for March. I'm really excited for it. And then the next book that I'm really excited about is The Sun and the Star by Rick Riordan and Marcus Shiro. And this releases on May 2nd, 2023. Now, May is going to be a massive month for me because not only does this book come out and a bunch of other books that I'm really excited about, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom also releases in May. And so I'm literally going to be spending it like a hermit inside. And basically, The Sun and the Star, if you don't know, follows Nico D'Angelo and Will Solace on their journey through the depths of Tartarus, facing problems both internal and external in order to rescue an old friend. And so I think it's going to be interesting because the relationship between Nico and Will is definitely going to be tested. And Nico definitely has already been through a lot. And I think he's going to go through even more in this book. It's going to be an emotional read, I can already tell. And I did try and get an arc of this. However, Marcus Shiro did say that there are going to be like arcs of it to protect spoilers. However, I am being sent something, but I don't know what it is yet. So I think that's going to be very exciting. And of course, as soon as I get this book, of course, I'll be making a reading the Riordanverse video. So you don't have to worry because you'll get all of my reactions. And I'm very excited for it. The next book I'm then really highly anticipating is Bitterthorn by Kat Dunn, which releases on May 4th, 2023. And this is basically the sapphic gothic book that everyone has been waiting for. And this is basically about Blumwald, which is a town that's overshadowed by an ancient curse where once a generation, a witch comes to claim a companion who is never to be seen again. And so this time around, Mina, the daughter of the Duke, decides that because she has no future in Blumwald, she's going to offer herself up to the witch. And as such, she is drawn into the heart of a terrifying secret that could save her life or end it. And some of my friends have already read this and are raving about it and love it. And plus, Kat Dunn is just such an amazing person. And so I think it's going to be really interesting to see what comes of it. And plus, Samantha Shannon has blurbed this. And so I think it's going to be amazing. And at like 353 pages, I do think I'm going to blast through this quite quickly. And plus, I'm just really excited to see the relationship between Mina and this witch because I feel like that's where it's going to lie. Because come on, like there's definitely going to be a secret with this witch that Mina's going to be like, I want your heart. So we're gonna see. So this next book I am really excited to talk about because did you know that Gwen and I are not in love by Lex Croucher? This releases on May 11th, 2023, and this arc is probably one of the most innovative concepts I've seen for an art copy, where you literally had to like scratch this heart to reveal the secret of this book. This is like the queer medieval rom-com that a lot of people are looking out for. King Arthur's descendant, aptly named Arthur, has been betrothed to Gwendolyn since birth. However, Gwen catches Arthur kissing a boy, and Arthur reads Gwen's diary and finds that she's basically crushing on the kingdom's only lady knight. They both essentially make a pact to cover for one another. However, Gwen's being swept off her feet and Arthur is falling in love with Gwen's brother. Shenanigans are gonna definitely be afoot in this one. And so I'm really excited for it because if you couldn't already tell, I am very much obsessed with Arthurian literature and like the history of the Arthuriana because like, you know, it's very rooted in Welsh mythology and Welsh history. And I know I do need to read Legendborn and Bloodmarked, and that will happen sometime soon because I definitely want to do it in like a Dark Academia reading vlog or dedicate a whole video of its own to it, but I haven't decided which one yet. Speaking of Gwen and Art and Not in Love, I think this is going to be a very funny queer rom-com that's just going to be so hilarious. One of my friends recently finished it and loved it, and so I'm very excited for it because I think it's just going to deliver on so many levels. Plus, I think it's just going to accomplish all of those like things that I wanted from Merlin, the BBC TV show that I never got. So I'm really excited for it, and I just think it's going to be so awesome. The next book that I'm really then highly anticipating is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, which releases on May 16th, 2023. Basically, besties, Athena Liu dies in a freak accident, and so her bestie, June Hayward, is like, I'm gonna steal your manuscript and publish it under the name Juniper Song, which is also ethnically ambiguous and is complete with an ethnically ambiguous author photo. However, how far will Juniper Song go to protect her newfound success, even though it's all built upon a throne of lies? I'm really looking forward to this new kind of satirical like piece by R.F. Kuang because after Babel and after the Poppy War, I definitely think she's another auto-buy author for me, and I think like it's going to be fairly interesting to see how she gives this scathing critique of the publishing industry in this story. However, I do know one thing, even though I haven't read the book yet, if I see people empathizing with Juniper Song, I will immediately know the type of person that they are. So yeah, it will be on site. But overall, I am just excited for anything that Rebecca writes, and so I think this book is going to be amazing. And then we lead on to The Battle Drum by Sarah Larifi, which publishes on May 23rd, 2023, and is the sequel to The Final Strife, one of my favorite fantasy reads from last year. And so essentially this follows three women who seek the truth of the Empire's past, a truth which has the power to ignite a powerful war. And I am really excited for this because I do have the arc of it right now. I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to be diving into it fairly soon because I need to know what happens next after the final strife. And I don't know, it's just something about the way that Sarah Larifi writes that immediately draws me in and immediately makes me excited about like anything and everything to do with this story. And like Sarah Larifi is such like a strong writer, and the way that she builds her worlds and her characters really, they feel fleshed out and real. And so I'm very excited to see how it continues in The Battle Drum. The next book I'm then really highly anticipating is Witch King by Martha Wells, which releases on May 30th, 2023. And essentially, after being murdered, his consciousness dormant and unaware of the passing of time, Kai awakens to find that his world has very much changed and the Rising World Coalition has been growing in influence. And so in order to find answers, Kai will need to pull close all of his allies and draw on all of his pain magic. However, I do have a sneaky suspicion he won't like the answers he finds. I don't know, there's something about the cover, the blurb by N.K. Jemisin, and the synopsis, and the fact that I've yet to read the Murderbot Diaries but I've heard such like resounding things about it that made me really drawn to this novella. And I think it's just going to be such like an amazing read. But however, I did try and request an arc of it on Edelweiss and I was subsequently rejected because they said, stay humble, King. I'm probably gonna have to wait until it releases to read it, but I'm really excited for it regardless. The next book I'm then really highly anticipating is They're Vicious Games by Joelle Wellington, which releases on July 25th, 2023. Now, I do feel like I need to preface that Joelle is one of my best friends, so I am a little bit biased. However, I don't think I would be discussing this book if I didn't like it. And so this basically follows Adina Walker, who is desperate to regain her Ivy League acceptance, and so she enters the finish, an elite competition, only to discover that stakes aren't just high, they're deadly. They're Vicious Games is one of those books that I feel like is going to change YA because it is so expertly written, and there are characters that you can fall in love with, there are characters you can love to hate, and it really goes through like common horror tropes. It's so good, and I'm really excited to see what everyone thinks about it when it releases. And yeah, I'm just so proud of her. I'm so proud of my friend. The next book I'm then anticipating is Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong, which also releases on July 25th, 2023. And this is Chloe Gong's adult debut, so I'm really interested to see how it's going to play out in this reimagining of Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, which I haven't read, and I did try and find a copy in Waterstones in London. They didn't have one, and so I think everyone has just been going to buy them to prepare for this book. That's like the theory I'm now having. And so Immortal Longings has a fiery collision of power plays, spilled blood, and a romance amidst a set of deadly games in the capital of Twin Cities, Sang-er. And so essentially, Princess Kala enters the games to get a chance to kill her uncle to finish the job that she started to bring down the monarchy. But then enter Anton, exiled aristocrat whose abilities give him the chance to win the games to save his childhood love. However, when the two meet and feelings spiral, Calla will have to decide if she's playing for her love or her kingdom. And so I think just from that, I'm very excited to see how the story is going to translate into the book and see like the influences of Antony and Cleopatra and maybe do like an intertextual analysis of the two. But I'm also excited to see how Chloe Gong's adult debut will play out, because I really did like These Violent Delights. And so I'm really excited to see how Chloe Gong's writing changes in an adult voice. The next book I'm then anticipating is The Water Outlaws by Elsa Huang, which releases on August 22nd, 2023. And first of all, this cover is absolutely beautiful. And secondly, this follows Ling Chong, whose life is ripped away by a powerful man with a vendetta, and as such is recruited by bandits of devastating ruthlessness, unseemly femininity, dangerous philosophies, and ungovernable gender who are ready to make history or tear it apart. And so I'm very excited by this book because I feel like it's going to give me those found family feels whilst also delivering such a riveting tale. I can't wait for it. I think it's just going to be so amazing. And then we move on to this book, which I am really anticipating, and that is Percy Jackson and the Chalice of the Gods by Rick Riordan, which releases on September 26th, 2023. Now, when I realized this was releasing this year, I then realized we're getting 2 Riordanverse books this year, which made me so happy because like it has been a while since we've had a Riordanverse book, and I know I read them like last year / the year before, but like I'm glad we're getting fed more books, and it means that I get to do 2 Riordanverse videos this year, which is going to be really amazing. Basically, after saving the world multiple times, you would think that Percy Jackson gets the chance to have a normal senior year. No, besties, no, because he needs 3 recommendation letters from Mount Olympus in order to get into college. And so Percy will have to do some questing with his friends Annabeth and Grover, starting with helping Zeus's cupbearer retrieve his goblet before it falls into the wrong hands. And essentially, my notes for this reaction are because I'm really excited for this book. I feel like this book is just going to be so good because we're catching up with Annabeth and Grover and Percy before the Trials of Apollo, but after the Heroes of Olympus, and just seeing what has changed for them since. And also like what new tensions are going to be brought, the new internal and external conflict. And I know Rick Riordan is just going to deliver such a good story. And so I'm really looking forward to it. And the cover was also revealed like yesterday or 2 days ago, and it looks gorgeous. Although this now does mean I do need to buy the full set of the new covers so that I have them matching, and that is just a me thing. But it does also mean I get to like annotate my copies of Percy Jackson, because I've seen Jason on TikTok do that, and I'm like, I want to do it now too. But yeah, I'm really excited for Percy Jackson, the Chalice of the Gods. Now we can move on to the next book that I'm highly anticipating, which is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, which releases on October 10th, 2023. This I'm really excited for because it's Cassandra Clare's adult debut, and I'm really excited to read something new from Cassandra Clare that's separate from the Shadowhunters universe. I do want to return to that at some point and do like a Riordanverse kind of series, but with Cassandra Clare, where I go through each of her series and read them of the Shadowhunters universe. I do want to like gauge how people feel about that. So let me know in the comments if that's something you want as well. But this basically follows Kel and Lynn, 2 outcasts who find themselves at the center of world-altering change. Kel is a sword catcher, a body double for the royal heir, and his destiny is to die for him, essentially, and nothing else. And Lynn is one of the Ashkar, a small community of people who can still wield magic. However, without forbidden knowledge, she can't even heal her best friend. And so when a failed assassination attempt brings them both together, secrets are unraveled, ones that may plunge the nation into war and the world into chaos. And so I think this is going to be really exciting because this is Cassandra Clare's adult debut. So I'm really excited to see how her adult voice is shaped and the things that come with her adult work. But I'm really excited for it, and I hope that I do get an arc of it, because I definitely do want to try and read this sooner rather than later. And I want to see how the story progresses and evolves throughout the story. But I have no doubt it's going to be pretty awesome. But yeah, the cover is also really gorgeous. Yeah, it's just going to be something new and refreshing from Cassandra Clare, hopefully. So fingers crossed. The next book that isn't one that I'm highly anticipating, but one that I do want to talk about, is All These Sunken Souls, edited by Circe Moskowitz, that releases on October 17th, and features contributors such as Circe Moskowitz, Joelle Wellington, who I mentioned earlier, Kaylin Bayron, Asia Monet, Ryan Douglas, and me. I have written a short story that is going to be in the All These Sunken Souls anthology, which is a YA anthology of Black horror. However, I would definitely say my story is more so geared towards the older young adults, and maybe crossing over into like new adult, slightly adult territory. But my story is I Love Your Eyes, and this is inspired by Frankenstein by Mary Shelley in some of the weirdest ways possible. But essentially, it's a story of mutual obsession following 2 academics who take a journey to a manor house in North Wales in order to celebrate their 3rd year anniversary. However, they're both hiding secrets from one another that may spell the end of their relationship, or much more. So I'm very excited because I just finished copy edits for this story and it's really evolved since the very first draft. I am just really happy with the way it's turned out. Yeah, I just can't wait for like everyone to read this story and all the other amazing stories in the anthology as well. But yeah, it's my very first piece of published fiction, which is going to be very nerve-wracking, but it also means you get to read something by me before I go into a full-length novel with Wub Wub. Writing is going amazing and I'm really excited for all of the developments with that this year. The penultimate book then that I'm really excited for its release is A Power Unbound by Freya Marske, which is the last book in the last binding trilogy, and it releases on November 7th, 2023. I absolutely loved A Marvelous Light by Freya Marske, and it was one of my favorite historical fantasy reads from last year, and I haven't read A Restless Truth yet. That is definitely on my TBR for the next 2-3 months, so I'm definitely gonna be reading that very soon, and then I'm gonna be going on to The Power Unbound, which I think is just gonna wrap up the trilogy really nicely, because Freya Marske's writing in the first one was riveting and beautiful, and I really loved it, and I think the second book will deliver that as well, so I have no doubts that the last book will just wrap it up very nicely. I need a reread of A Marvelous Light because I was like, I can't remember things from this synopsis, but I have no doubt the book is just going to be amazing. The final book that I think is very fitting for this video is a cozy fantasy that I'm anticipating, and that is Bookshops and Bonedust by Travers Baldry, which also releases on November 7th, 2023. And this is a prequel to Legends and Lattes, which I think is just going to be so amazing. And this is basically following our favorite orc Viv as she's packed off against her will to the sleepy beach town of Merk to recuperate. And she spends most of her hours in the company of a foul-mouthed proprietor of a beleaguered bookshop. However, we'll soon come to know that adventure isn't always that far away. Really, within like the last couple of months, I've been just really hungry for more cozy fantasies, and I recently read Cursed Cocktails by S.L. Rowland, which I really liked and adored, and I'm going to be reading some more soon that, again, I do want to make a reading vlog of, and then maybe I'll do cozy mysteries and cozy like this and that, and I loved Legends and Lattes. I think it's just gonna be a really great story, and just seeing like more of the backstory of Viv and seeing how she became who we know her as in Legends and Lattes. But yeah, that's basically the 23 books that I'm anticipating in 2023. What books are you looking forward to having released this year? Let me know in the comment section down below. And yeah, let me know anything that you'd like me to read, any suggestions of things you'd like me to cover or do this year. I'm really excited to see how all of these books are going to factor into not only the content that I make, but also the reviews that I make, my reading choices and habits this year. Like, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, be sure to click that subscribe button so you're notified whenever I upload next. I'll have all my social medias in the description down below for you, so you can follow me on every single other platform. I would highly, again, recommend following that TikTok because we're doing very well over there at the minute. And, you know, I just think it would be really awesome to see some more of you over there as well. I recently uploaded a little like book shopping vlog of my time in London on Friday. And so yeah, go give that some love. And I also made a TikTok as well uncovering the secret behind Gwen and Nat are not in love. And I really enjoyed making that one as well. It's just been such like a fun place to explore bits of my creativity that I haven't really been able to experience here. I hope you enjoyed the time we've had together today. And I guess, yeah, until the next time, bye besties.